7:03 p.m. And as a preliminary matter, I'm going to read the script for remotely conducted open meetings. So as a preliminary matter, this is Aaron Van de Steen, the chair of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond the affirmative. Doug Bowman.
Aye.
Martin Essner.
Aye.
Karen Sepatelli.
Aye.
Daniela Sharma.
Aye.
Okay, staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Beth Galloway.
Aye.
Cindy Zariello.
Aye.
So good evening. This open meeting of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find on the town's website at www.grafton-ma.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is convening by Zoom video conference as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and that take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along unless I note otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Great. So the second order of business is the approval of our minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah, please go ahead.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from the October 27th meeting.
Okay,
Second.
any second? All right, motion made and seconded by Doug. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Aaron, aye. Karen?
Aye.
Daniela?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And Marty?
Aye.
I declare the motion carried. Okay, on to bills. Warrants 19 and 21. Do I hear any motions to approve the bills for warrants 19 and 21?
I make a motion to approve the bills for warrants 19 and 21.
Okay, motion
Second.
made. And
I second that motion.
I saw your hand, Daniela, but Doug got you, so we'll give that one to Doug. The motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the bills?
I have a
Doug.
quick question. I know that some of them are just Amazon and you separate out between like office supplies and educational materials. Do you have to keep a track of that, or is that enough? Like how you actually differentiate between office and education and books and stuff?
Yeah, so it's outlined every year in my budget what falls under those scopes. There's still some flexibility, but generally anything educational materials is directly
Sorry,
for
sorry. I was
benefit of patrons.
meaning the Amazon piece, right? Because Amazon's kind of a generic vendor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, yes, on the Amazon bill, we will denote on the bills. This was for programs, this was for educational materials, this was office supply, this was building maintenance. And
Perfect.
yeah, it all gets coded and split out because we're so accountable for that educational materials piece.
Perfect. Thanks.
Mhm.
Great,
And
thanks, Doug.
Amazon's never the first choice. It's, well, we can't get it somewhere else. That's when we go to Amazon.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the motion, Aaron, aye. Karen,
Aye.
Daniela,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
and Marty.
Aye.
Great. I declare the motion carried. So ongoing business, the MPLCP building program grant. Beth.
We're still in a temporary state of occupancy with some progress on items that are keeping us from the full complete occupancy, mostly ADA related items. So the shower stall repair for the staff restroom that got us the lead point has been rotated and fixed. There's a temporary fix for the vestibule as you come in so that the ADA sensor is not over the bench where you can whack somebody in the head, but is now pulled out so that we won't whack anybody. We did temporary signage while we wait for the lit electrical signs to come in. We're still experiencing like everything is back ordered, shipping is slow. So the temporary fix has been to just post a laminated wheelchair sign for all those accessible exits from the first floor. And I forget what the fourth piece was. There was something related to fire extinguishers, and then there was one more thing. So they're still working through that occupancy related ADA list. They also are still working on punch list items. In our construction meeting today, I learned there are just about 14 items still outstanding from our construction company. So there are things like there's a temperature and humidity controller that is in the administrative office 217 that was intended to go on the roof. They didn't put it on the roof, and now they think they can put it on the roof. So it has to be relocated. The adjustment of height or cutouts for all of the counters and sinks is still in process. They're getting quotes to pay for doing that work, but it's going to be 2022 before that particular set of 12.5 items is complete. We had the tree leaf installer for the children's room tree on site today to lay out how that was going to be put together. And the result is it's going to take about 3 days for those installers to take care of it. And the children's room will have to be closed to the public 3 days next week till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon for safety reasons. We just can't have the kids in there while there's ladders and construction and power tools. So we'll have we'll pull a bunch of things and new books and probably have them in the community room so people can still get materials and browse. If there's something specific, a staff member may be able to get in there and pull it. Landscaping, I understand, finished up today or yesterday. The fencing has come down. I heard it looks beautiful, and we can open up our front doors. We do have gates installed that will probably set off the alarm should somebody walk out with a magazine or graphic novel through that entrance. But we don't have a computer hooked up to it yet so that we can see what's setting off the alarm or for purposes of the door count. So that's still outstanding. People continue to be overwhelmingly positive, excited, grateful, and blown away by the new building, which is very gratifying. Lots of recognition for all the hard work that went into it, and patience from people. I am hearing both, it's really cozy, and we can't believe that you made it cozy and it looks bigger or it doesn't look bigger. And also, oh, this isn't cozy enough, I don't like it. So running the gamut. I've gotten repeated complaints from 1 or 2 people who want to know why the Friends Corner isn't bigger. And I've had to very politely say the role of the public library is not to provide a bookstore. Like, it's great that we can do that, but we are doing these quarterly or 3 times a year book sales now. Friends had a meeting the other night and we talked about They could do it for more than one day. They could set up for the whole week. We can block out the room. They brought in $2,500 with one sale. So Down Under used to bring between $6,000 and $7,000 a year for steady incremental daily sales. And I was quite insistent that if we put all the books in a closet and pull them out 3 times a year, you'll make about the same amount of money every year. And I do think that that will pan out. We're taking some of these comments with a grain of salt. I still don't have a like final all done pull out date for the construction company. We're dealing with an HVAC issue. Today we had some harsh cleaning chemicals used in the restroom on the first floor that dissipated throughout the whole building, and patrons weren't noticing it, but staff who are sort of captive in the building were having an adverse reaction to it. And I said, well, I'm at home, but I can go online and just tell the system to bring in more fresh air. So I went to do that, but it turns out that EBR1 up on the roof is still out of commission from late this summer when something went wrong with it that we're still trying to resolve. So that came up again in this morning's construction meeting. And Evan has been alerted in case it's not a warranty issue, but perhaps a damage issue from the elements. And perhaps we'll need to file an insurance claim to get repair for this expensive item that's not doing what it's supposed to be doing up on our roof. So every day brings a new delight and joy. The elevator keeps putting itself out of service and we can't figure out why. We thought it was a braking issue and it's had multiple calls and repairs. And they say there's a working out period for it. It is all hand built. And this is normal for it to go in and out of service in the first year or two. That doesn't make me have a lot of faith in using the elevator. And I usually tell people, put your books in it and then meet it downstairs. No one's gotten stuck in it yet. Meeting room use has been going fairly reasonably easily. People are enjoying the tutor rooms. They don't have doors yet, but doors, 1 or 2 have arrived and several others are shipping in December. Still no phone service, but I have a date. I hear that everything will be transferred over December 1st, which is later than we would like, but at least now I have some information. IT has been very present on site. At this point, they're waiting on me for software to load onto the public computers. We did start with tagging them and setting up those laptops to be checked out and used in the building into their respective carts. And I've been pursuing the self-check lockers. That's probably going to be at least another month before that's up and running. But in the meantime, we have 10 to 12 computers on site for the public to use. Printing can be intermittent. There seems to be an issue with IT not having the guy who's on site, not having the right permissions to do something to our server so that the public can print. So we've been doing a lot of, let me email it to me and we'll do it and no charge. And here's a zip drive, pop it on your zip drive and we'll put it on the Xerox and print it. People have been patient and requests have been low. Those are the highlights. We're progressing, but a lot of time. And we did set a date for the ribbon cutting. So an invitation of some kind will be going out from the committee. We're looking at Friday, December 17th at 11 in the morning for a ceremonial ribbon cutting and dedication, cake or goodie bag to be consumed off site to be announced. Happy to take questions.
Thank you, Beth. I have just a question about one of the statements you made at the beginning. That was, so you said we're not quite yet at full occupancy. What does full occupancy mean?
So full occupancy is the town gives us a formal certificate of occupancy. We still have a temporary certificate of occupancy that allows the public to go into every public area of the building with the understanding that there are still 4 to 5 outstanding ADA related items that are not like life safety issues or building code issues, but are, ADA non-compliance issues that need to be brought up to the ADA compliance code. So that are all in process.
Yeah, that's very helpful. When I hear full occupancy, I think of, oh, we're not able to have everybody there at the library. We're limiting the number of people that the library can hold.
So
Okay.
it's a big building. It's 26,000 square feet. Our full occupancy is actually like 384 people for the first floor and 186 on the second floor. So we haven't seen those anywhere near those numbers. And, you know, if we decided that even if we decided we want to just do 60% occupancy for programs, or like, it's still a lot of people. That shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I was pleased to
We
see
don't have
the
any-
park. I was pleased to see the parking lot full
Yeah.
on the book sale day. That was amazing.
There were 441 visitors Saturday, November 6th.
Great.
Top
Thank you.
record.
Okay. Anyone else for Beth?
Are those the counters that are on the entrance, are those working then? And are those getting like recorded every day, or is that
Yeah.
a manual process or automated?
Nope, the door counters are working, and that if we walk by and look down on those gates, we can see the count. And it registers one in, one out, just like the old system did. So then you add it together and divide by 2, and that's your count for the day. But staff are still doing a manual hand click. There's actually a software solution. We are waiting for both gates to get the software, and we still don't have a computer for the one upstairs, and it's in process of getting ordered. So at some point in the near future, we will switch over from the manual click count to we're getting a software report every day from those gates for how many people came in. I think it'll do the math for us and everything.
Great.
So right now it's like up to like 16,000 people since July 1st or so. But that's the staff coming in as well. And we had wanted to hold off in part because I didn't get the intrusion alarm and security camera system and door locks signed off and turned over until Monday, the 8th of November. So it would be hard if everybody, including staff, is coming in that main entrance, then I don't have an accurate attendance count. So hopefully by December 1st or January 1st, we'll switch to staff are only coming in the staff door. It's all electronic. It's only visitors, library visitors coming in that main door. Even UPS and the delivery guys, they're coming in the staff door, so they're not throwing off our door counts, or they will be.
Great. Any other questions for Beth? Well, thank you, Beth. The next item on the agenda is the grand reopening. Dana is not present, but Beth, I think you announced a date, correct?
So, December 17th, Friday, December 17th, 11 a.m.
Yep.
Take home
And-
cake.
And all the public is invited as well as the trustees and their family. But it's going to be an outdoor event. Is that correct, or indoor event?
Yeah, so I believe it'll be gather outside.
Yep.
Whether, we assume the weather will be okay, at least to be outside to do the ribbon cutting. If we have to move inside to the meeting room for, there's going to be people who are going to want to give speeches. Aaron, you're probably on the list. Mass Board Library Commissioners, Evan, myself, the building committee chair, all of them. We'll hold as much as we can outside, whether that's right outside the doors or move to the patio or whatever. And then if we have to move inside, we will. And then we may have to limit. But yeah, it's we'll issue a formal print invitation, I believe, as well as like a general announcement for the public to come and attend.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on, unless anybody has any further questions, comments about the grand reopening, sorry, the ribbon cutting. Okay. On to the budget update, fiscal year 2022.
I sent it out and I can pull it up. Hang on a second. It's the summary sheet that's the helpful one, and it might just take me a minute to find it. There it is. The only thing that I have a concern with is I seem to have miscoded something under rentals and leases down here, because it says that budget is over. So I'm suspecting we paid a copier lease bill out of that line when it should have come out of the revolving account that we use for printing expenses, which has a good amount of money in it. So I'm going to need to go back and adjust that with the town accountant. But everything else, it's November. We're 4 months into the fiscal year, so we should be a third of the way through. Most items are as expected. Contracted services, remember, is always high because we pay out that very close to the beginning of the year. We just did our periodicals order for the next calendar year, so that's high. Educational materials is a little high, probably because we're spending a lot on ebooks, so we just want to make sure we're reining that in. We do tend to try to stop ordering by May, though, so if people are on an 11-month as opposed to 12-month budget cycle, it makes sense. And then it looks like we still have a little bit of money that we've encumbered that we either need to clear out or spend if we have, get those invoices in, or let it go if it turns out that we over budgeted our FY21 rollover expenditures. And then everything else is, revolving accounts, state aid. I think they even might have sent the grant and trust report this time. Gift account. It's very robust because we've got money from capital campaign as well as Friends of the Library, as well as the Dexter money, which I suggested we use some of that for our ribbon cutting and for the further grand reopening festivities that'll take place next spring. That's an accounting of the capital project. And then there's all the trusts. So we're in good shape. I have concerns about further FF&E that we need for the library. What I've heard is that the IT budget for IT for the new library is over by about $2 grand, and FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, equipment, things like we need a fridge, we need a coffee maker, oh, we need more shelving, oh, we're going to get that hanging art rail, oh, there's no blinds for internal offices. We have about $21,000 left in that account. Signage would be coming out of there. We have a lot of signage that came in for all the ends of the stacks, but they only gave us 110 sign holders, and that's actually not enough for the number of bookshelves that were standard and ordered for the project. So we need more signage. So I'm working at, working with William Blake to do some procurement, and then trying to determine, am I paying for like new clocks for all of the tutor rooms? Is that a construction expense? Should I use gift money for that? Can I take it out of my office supply budget? What does that do to my office supply budget for the next year? Well, we have some money left. So, I'm buying some things out of the regular expenditures budget, but I may be coming to capital campaign with some asks. I did actually ask Dana if she would bring forth a request for 3 mini fridges and 3 hot water boilers for various spaces in the building that, like, they were in the building program. And I thought that meant we were buying them, but it was never budgeted for. So if we want them, and we do, we need to figure out a way to pay for them. We're also related to the capital budget. We're very close to being out of money for the entire project. So we have a meeting with Historic District Commission this Thursday night because they were unhappy with the visibility of the HVAC, the air conditioners and heating units and fire suppression on the roof of the building, and would like it screened somehow in a way that doesn't necessarily mask it, but diminishes the impact of the visual in the historic district of all that equipment up there. And the initial estimate just for the screens, which are wrought iron that mimic the wrought iron on the windows, the palladium windows of the historic building, $50,000 minimum just to fabricate it. That doesn't count install it and supervise it and puncture the roof to install them. So we have to have a meeting with Historic District Commission, who's insistent that we need to do this thing that we technically really don't have the money for in the project at this point. Library budget's good. Project budget is getting a little tight. Happy to answer questions.
So I think a simple one, how far are we into the budget cycle for what we should have expended? Are we a quarter of the way, halfway?
Yeah, so for the library operating budget, we're about a third of the way through the fiscal year. So that's why I'm saying I feel like the library budget is in pretty good control, unless I have, excessive and unanticipated energy costs, which is possible. So far, we've been in line with, we're at like 27% expenditure for energy. That was the one I was worrying the most about. Office supplies, I had $5 grand to spend on office supplies. We had spent about 20% of it, so I felt comfortable. saying, yes, pay that WB Mason order for clocks and staplers and, desk caddies. It was about $600. I'll take care of that. But then looking at, we need fridges and we need hot water boilers and we still don't have blinds and the hanging rail system wasn't budgeted. And the office shelving wasn't budgeted. So that can't come out of library operating budget. It's got to come out of the project. We have a meeting coming up. Andy, to be honest, handled all of the financials and he filled out all the financial reporting. So I'm hearing from William, oh, you're under here and you're over here, and that's where we're at.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that your library budget is right where you expect it to be for a new library. That's huge. So we're a third of the way
I'm being
there.
very careful.
I have a question for Doug, and then I'll open the floor to others. So from the capital campaign perspective, that money is not to be contributed back directly to to pay back the loans for the library, or was this for, maybe you can talk a little bit about how the money is supposed to be funneled back for the project. Is it for the project or is it for kind of incidentals or, the things that kind of Beth has been talking about?
Well, I mean, the intent is it's a capital campaign, so it's capital items. So, things that presumably will be in the building for long periods of time. And there was really, if you'll recall, there's 3 groups. There was monies for specific projects, like let's say a patio or, some specific item. There was, unrestricted funds where someone named a room and that money will go to potentially some pieces of that room, but also can be used for other purposes. And then our intent is also to just give some of the monies back to the town to offset the costs. Right. So it'll just be, reducing the debt up for the town. Now, we haven't come to the conclusion on what piece, what percentages are each of those pieces. As Beth mentioned, she's putting together a list of all of these items that she would like to be added in, and then the capital campaign will consider what we can fund.
So to that end, I guess, how do you anticipate that the length of time it would take to spend that money? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 5 years? Or is there a lot of effort that needs to kind of go into that and think about how it will be expended and when?
Oh, it's a good question. I mean, we haven't had that detailed conversation yet, but I'm assuming that we'll spend 80%, large percentage of it soon, right? The intent was for the construction project. So most of it's going to be spent pretty quickly. Now, we are planning on holding back some funds for, next year and the year after. So for example, the landscaping and the patio, which was paid for with the capital campaign, we expect there might be some maintenance or repairs, each year. So we want to make sure there's monies for that. There's the green roof, which will require some maintenance. So we want to hold back, but I'm imagining that's going to be a pretty small percentage of that total that was raised.
Great. Thank you, Doug.
Yep.
Any other questions for Beth on the fiscal year 2022 budget? Great, thank you, Beth. On to the IT update.
The town's contracted IT company, CMD, has been very good to work with, except the process is we send an email, then it gets put in their ticket system. And then when we have a bunch of issues, they come and on short notice. So it sometimes is not ideal. And we're frustrated with, we install a printer and it works and we come in the next day and it doesn't work. And it's the same login, the same computer, the same printer, and it just doesn't work. And that's with our receipt printers, with individual printers, with trying to print to the Xerox. So there's just like a lot of chasing and repetitive. Can you please install the printer? I don't know why it's not installed anymore. Makes it very hard to get work done. To say nothing of, most patrons come in and say, can we print? And I go, try. I don't know. If it doesn't work, here's a zip drive, or you can email it to our account and we'll print it for you. And some staff expressed concern over, I have somebody sending me sensitive personal documents that normally they would just go directly to the printer and the patron would pick them up, and now they're coming to the library's email account. And, we have to print them out and hand them over face up. It's not ideal. So I suggested we just do zip drives, which led to staff telling me that the new computers USB drives don't work. But it turns out they do. You just have to plug it into the back of the computer, that plugging the USB stick into the monitor, because these are all-in-ones for the public, that apparently only charges. It doesn't actually transfer data. So once we figured that out, now we have a process we can use going forward. And in the meantime, IT is aware they were on site today. They'll be on site Thursday. And they're, I think, baffled as to why it's not just sticking. Wireless
Okay.
is working.
Yeah.
I don't have a way to track it. So every week I ask, can I have the metrics? Can you set it up so I get the metrics? Because I'm required to report that to the state. And, baby steps.
So is this why you were asking if the town would hire their own IT person?
Yes, somebody on staff has kind of voluntarily, she says forced, I say she offered and took it over, to manage IT. And it does a lot of troubleshooting. We'll submit the ticket, has been communicating directly with IT when they're on site, and is just sort of fallen into a leadership role, which is great because then it means I can focus on other things. But we need somebody 20 to 30 to, we're open 60 hours a week, and not everybody on staff can solve people's printing issues or hardware issues. So it's very challenging. And what I was told was that the town would set aside additional money exclusively for the library in the town's overall IT budget for support for next fiscal year. So it will be on me to follow up on that with Evan.
Okay. Do you think it's just growing pains because you've only been open a month now or so?
Well, this was all supposed to be
Thinking
ready
back,
to go.
Yeah, thinking back when you were in the old space, or the new old space, however you
The
want to say
computers
it.
worked there.
Yeah, 35 Grafton Common before the move.
Yeah, computers
using
worked
the
there too.
library. Yeah.
I
Okay.
also bought all of my own machines,
Yeah,
and that did not happen this time.
I see. So the machines, did they come from part of the building project?
Yeah, I did not get what I requested, and the
Mhm.
previous IT company simply made purchases, and we're finding they are not great computers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if you want to, I'm interested in this. And I want to make sure that the new library is successful. So if you would put me in touch with whoever's taking the lead with IT, I'd be happy to volunteer some time to talk through and try to see if I can put a different spin on it.
Yeah, I will say it feels like everything we do now is IT. So if the automated materials handler breaks down and there's still no working phone in that room, somebody has to call on their personal cell phone and be away from a service desk to be on the call for an hour with Biblioteca to try and do tech support and figure it out. And if I had an IT person, that person who would not be scheduled on the desk would be doing that work. So.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
Any further questions for Beth regarding IT? Okay, so we got a small update from Doug. Dana's not here tonight, but anything to mention, Doug, in Dana's place?
I think Beth mentioned the landscaping, because that's primarily the capital campaign is the front and the side and the patios, and it sounds like that's near completion. I think there are going to be a few items that they come back in the spring for, maybe some plants. Obviously, if some plants don't survive the winter, they'll come back and replace. But I need to get an update from Andy on that because I have not heard from Andy this week. We had the sign company and the artist come in, and we looked at the proof set for the donor wall, and that's looking good. So I think we're getting much closer to having that ready to go up. We're also looking at the little signs that go on each of the rooms, and we walk the building and have at least a proposal for where each of those signs go. I don't think we've put that all together yet to show to the group yet, but presumably that'll go in front of Beth and in the building committee or something. I think that's probably about it.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Any questions on the capital campaign for Doug? Okay. So the next item on the agenda is advocacy, which is tabled. So I will move on to Friends membership and update. I believe as a board, we generally will renew our membership around the same time, just so that there's really no question about when did I pay my dues? Are my dues due? So because often I think the notification process has kind of not been as great as the Friends hoped it should be. I think it's just better as a board that we just renew at the same time. I think we generally do that either right around the holidays or early January. So if we could all just kind of put that on our agenda, and as Beth would often say, Friends memberships make great stocking stuffers. So Stephanie is not here, but if someone else was able to join the Friends meeting, I'd be happy to hear from them. Yeah, Beth, please.
Yeah, I went. It was a book sale update. They did get new brochures, and I helpfully picked them up and put them in the Friends closet right on the counter, thinking they were going to be in and out to set up the book sale. But nobody noticed them, and I forgot to tell them they were there. So they were going crazy trying to figure out where they were at the meeting Tuesday, which is well after when they would have liked to have been giving them out. So I had to apologize profusely. And then they, I think, maybe intended to get a mailing out around Friends of the Libraries week, which is in October. And now I think they're going to hold off till January after the new year to do their new brochures, which is great. They'll be on site for Grafton Celebrates the Holidays with some, I think, bookmarks to sell, Lego ornaments. I think the design for the Lego ornament this year is a mini Grafton Public Library. So you can have your own Lego replica of like the front of the building with the columns and I forget what the pointy part is called. Not the cupola, the part under it. There's a fancy architectural name for it. And I asked them to coordinate with other staff who will be on site that day so we can figure out who's going to be in which space. Are we doing a craft? Is it just pick up the kit and go home? Reminded them that we weren't doing food. They did meet on site and on Zoom in our 10-seat meeting room. And I think their next meeting is going to be Tuesday, December 7th. Grafton Celebrates the Holidays is the 5th, so there may also be an interim meeting before that so they can plan out exactly what they're going to do. Book bundles, I think, is also on the list, and encouraging people to sign up for membership.
Thank you,
Cards
Beth.
for cause. Yeah.
So do I have a volunteer to attend the next Friends meeting? I know that Stephanie mentioned she would go by default unless we had other volunteers. So if you haven't been to a Friends meeting in a while, I know that I haven't. So I'd be happy to volunteer if somebody else would rather go. That would be fine. Okay. So you said December 7th, is that right? All right. I'll check
Yep.
my calendar. And are they meeting it on Zoom or in person?
I assume in person. I think they may have only acquiesced to Zoom because I said I want to participate, but I really can't come.
Got it.
There are about 4 of us on Zoom though, and it worked pretty well.
Okay, great. Thank you. So on to building and grounds. I see Beth, your name is here, but I think Doug has something to contribute as well. But Beth, please go ahead.
So Doug sent a list of a couple of things that he had noticed, and I did get a response from the architects. So I can share that. Doug, not to rain on your parade, and everyone must get so sick of hearing me talk. But so these were the few things that he noticed on the exterior walkabout. The holes near the old boiler that were not sealed is on the punch list, and CTA, the construction company, will patch it. There is a window sealed with plywood. That's been they took one away and replaced one and then took away the other one and have plywood while they're repairing it, but it is back on site and CTA just has to install it. The casement window in the front has insulation behind it that's making it appear yellow. So they're going to see what they can do from the exterior so it doesn't look like it's yellow from the insulation. There's some junk, it says, by the common entrance.
Yeah,
So
up near those doors, there was just a bunch
Okay.
of construction stuff just left behind.
Okay, there's some things that have been on the perimeter of the parking lot that were found on the site too that I asked in this morning's meeting if they could just be taken away. I still don't have a dumpster to put things into, so that is in process. But I think William was going to ask DPW to come by and just grab a few things for me. The trash cans are for some reason next to our bicycle racks. So I'll be asking Paul to relocate those, and then we won't have trash right there as well next to the bike racks. And then there were some bushes, I think, that just hadn't been planted. So they've either been planted or removed. So it looks like it was taken away as of this morning, and that piece of the project has been finished. So do keep bringing things to our attention. And I said to CTA, some of these may be already in process. I was literally just too lazy to go and look at the long 8-point font list of what's outstanding. You guys know because you're dealing with it every day. So can you just take a look and see if these are already covered? And if that's the response to the board, great. And it turns out all of them were things that they're going to be taken care of. But I think they are feeling a little inundated with patrons and staff, and now the board, sorry, and building committee saying, what's this? Can you fix it? And sometimes it's scope and sometimes it isn't. All of these were scope and are being taken care of. They're good catches. Thanks.
There we go. I love that Zoom will tell you when you're muted, so that's helpful. But thank you, Doug, and thank you, Beth. So I assume that are we going to still continue monthly walkabouts, which was our process before? Doug, and do you want to continue to take the lead on that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go inside this month. I'll go in. We can go inside next month.
Okay. Do you have someone who will generally go with you? Because I know that it's usually done in pairs, correct?
Yeah, I think it was Karen that had offered, and this one I literally was walking my dog, so I decided to do a loop around on the outside. So I'll reach out to Karen next time.
Okay, perfect. All right, on to the next item on the agenda, which is the COVID-19 update.
So we had new staff read through the manual from 2020 and take the trainings from 2020 and do the sign-offs from 2020. The town has not updated their manual, and I would love to, but I can't take it on. So my daughter has COVID, so I have identified as a close contact of her, fully vaccinated. But I think were I on site more last week, the staff probably would have said, well, the manual says we need to close and now we need to disinfect. And, that's just out of date. We recognize now that it's airborne if we are truly all social distancing and masking, which, when I'm on site, I'm in my office with the door closed if the mask is off, and then I'm at the public desk with the mask on. I think that we're following our protocols and not in danger. And should somebody else on staff, God forbid, come down with it, the response would not be to close. It would be alert anybody who was a close contact. They can be home in quarantine if they have symptoms, but if they're vaccinated, it's test and wait and see and come back to work. I don't know that custodial is getting to any sanitizing, and staff, I don't think, are taking it on beyond, I worked at this workstation, or I'm coming back from lunch and somebody else is vacating, I'm going to wipe it down before I use it. So they're doing more personal space, just as because I noticed how dirty the building was when I worked last Tuesday night until 9 o'clock till close. I took it upon myself to go find the sanitizing wipes and to wipe the handrails, all of the doorknobs. I didn't do light switches, the elevator buttons, all of the public services on the surfaces on the first floor, the staff room table, the refrigerator handles, but it has not been an ongoing practice. And it should be, just because it's flu season and it's a new building and we want to keep it clean. But Paul has been stupendous in getting deployed from the building department to try and keep our building clean. I'm still only getting him 15 hours a week. If he's not able to come, they send somebody else who frankly does an inferior job. I've had trash in the teen room from Friday afternoon until Tuesday afternoon because nobody came to clean it out. Nothing's getting sanitized. He can't even vacuum the whole building in that amount of time and do trash in bathrooms. And I understand the town is hiring a second custodian, but it looks like it's morning operating hours, which does not help for evening issues or event for the library, whether that's snow removal or me having to climb up on the roof at 8:30 at night because the attic door was open and there's nobody else to come and close it. I need somebody to do IT full time. I need 60 hours of custodial coverage a week, and I've been asking for that since I applied for this grant in 2016.
Sorry, can you repeat how many hours a week you're getting for the custodian?
15.
15.
And if he has time, Paul will come back. Will be allowed to come back, like to walk through again between 1:30 and 2:30. But he doesn't always have time. And sometimes when he's on site, he gets called away for other town projects because he is deployed from another town department. I do not have my own staff member. It's been very challenging. I don't know. I sent an incident report to Aaron. I didn't send it out to the whole board. I was out over, I think I didn't come for the book sale. So Friday before the book sale and then Saturday, the day of the book sale, we had been offering complimentary feminine hygiene products in the first floor restroom through a special program. And some middle school girls went in and took those products and tied them together and stuffed them into the brand new toilet on the first floor. And 10 days later, it is still out of order because the pipes come together. So the blockage keeps going from one to the other and overflowing the other one. And we're going to need to call a plumber to snake it because someone thought it would be fun. And again, Paul has been trying to do his best to unclog it, but he's not getting anywhere. And I wasn't aware until today that it is in fact still out of order and has been out of order now for 10 days.
It's now in order again. Somebody came this afternoon, which is why the cleaning odors.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah, but I think it's unreasonable that the public toilet is out of order for 10 days and no one is even communicating with me to tell me that there's an issue or a plumber should be called, because I don't have a maintenance staff to manage this 26,000 square foot building.
I mean, what's the protocol is that you contact the custodian and then theoretically he takes care of everything, or you?
Yeah,
I mean,
or
right?
tells me that something else needs to happen.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but what I've been here, I'm trying. I tried this, I tried that, still not. And I need to go. I can't stay. And he's not authorized technically to call a plumber.
Who would be? I mean, that would be back to you.
Yeah, I can, or I've asked in the past for the building department to take care of it and they'll deploy somebody.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a sad situation that even happened in the first place, and it's compounded by the fact that it took so long to get replaced or fixed. I mean, awful.
And luckily we have many bathrooms, but
So, thank you, Beth, for bringing that to our attention. That going back to your initial statement about the library just being dirty, right? So, are you noticing that just like tables seem filthy, or like it looks like there's fingerprints on a lot of the brushed metal
Oh, yeah.
surfaces, things like
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Fingerprints all over the elevator, dust on every window, and dead bugs
Yep.
on every window ledge. Teen room didn't get vacuumed. And they're the group that's eating surreptitiously under
Mhm.
their masks. In this, which we expect, and there's plenty of trash cans, but there's crumbs and there's paper bits, and yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of glass to clean.
Well, I mean, for staff areas, I mean, generally, they have procedures, right?
I cleaned our microwave. Like, that's not a big deal.
Yeah,
But the public shouldn't walk up to the copier and the copier is covered in fingerprints and there's dust all along the window ledge,
yeah,
because it's all we can do to keep up with changing the trash and recycling and swabbing 7 bathrooms and vacuuming most of the building on a daily basis. And we've still been low traffic. I mean, we had over 400 people on that Saturday, the 6th. We're averaging around 200 a day. And it's only going to increase. We gave out 136 library cards in October in 3 weeks. So
yeah. I mean, something like the copier, just as an example. I know that at the height of the pandemic, when people were kind of still going into the office before vaccinations, they did offer wipes for things that people would be touching often enough.
yes, we're doing that.
Something you thought of. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what else there is to consider.
Yeah.
Is there, I know the C-Click Fix, they've stopped that in town. Is there any other like venue or way we can like suggest like townspeople just to email the town administrator? And I don't know, just, I guess if you could just keep having
Yeah.
that kind of report in your yes, no log type thing, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. If the public notices, I'm noticing.
True.
It's my building, right?
Certainly the kids won't notice because they're the ones that are doing it or could be doing it.
Yeah. And because I worked in the teen room on Friday afternoon and I had surreptitiously under my mask a snack and then threw it in the trash, the wrapper in the trash. Like, I'm the one who went and covered again on Tuesday and went, that's like my wrapper from Friday that has food on it that's still sitting there.
Okay. Well, thank you, Beth. Any other questions, comments for Beth regarding the COVID-19 update? Okay. Anything the trustees can do, we can certainly get in touch with the town. Anything you can suggest from our end?
I would love support as I do my FY23 budget directive from the board to supply custodial services all the library hours that were open.
Okay.
Yeah. I would like somebody dedicated. 2 people.
Great. Okay, thank you. On to new business. We have the 2022 trustee meeting schedule. So Beth sent that out last month and also recently. So has everybody had the opportunity to provide any feedback directly to Beth, or has any feedback? Okay. So why don't we start with a motion and then we'll have some discussion.
I make a motion to accept the Board of Library Trustees meeting dates for 2022.
Okay,
And I second that motion.
great. Motion made and
Mhm.
seconded. Any discussion? Karen,
I did look at the calendar, and at least from what I saw, it did not interfere with anything. And Beth, I know you also took a look at the holidays and adjusted as needed.
I agree, Karen. I think it looks great. And I think a lot of thought went into it. So it works great. So any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor to accept the 2022 trustee meeting dates. Aaron, aye. Karen,
Aye.
Daniela,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
and Marty.
Aye, I'm sorry.
Great. I declare the motion carried. On to the next item on the agenda, which is the 2022 closings for the library.
I do have
Beth.
one. I would like to propose an amended edit. I had the wrong date. I'm looking for our next Reader's Advisory program for the library to be on the date that the presenter is available. I think I put the Friday the 14th, and she's available Thursday the 13th. So I did make a change since I sent it out.
Okay.
So this, what's in front of you with that change is what I'm looking for a motion on.
Okay. I'll hear motions, please.
I make a motion to accept the 2022 closing dates.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion?
Mhm.
Karen.
Just one question, Beth. A number of these say delayed. Is that because it's just a delayed opening that day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually part of the, depends on how late you want to be here tonight, but part of the discussion should be, given that we are now open till 6 p.m., is a 6 p.m. closure for, say, the day before Thanksgiving appropriate? Should it be 3? Should it be 5? Should it be 6? Delayed openings, we used to open at 1, but I want to make sure staff eat. So I've asked for 2, and then that still gives us 4 hours of being open, say on a Friday. So these are, my recommendations from a, position of balancing staff needs and patron traffic and public service. And then I also tried to clarify, this is an early closure, this is a delayed opening, and here's the reason. And then Saturdays are almost always unpaid because the town is observing the holiday on a different day. And it doesn't make sense for us to be open like Saturday, January 1st, when that's technically the holiday, but the town observes it the day before. So there's lots of notes in here.
Okay.
I hope it's clear.
I think it's clear, Beth. That was a great question, Karen.
Mhm.
But I guess I don't understand. So are you talking about the early closing, like November 23rd?
Yeah, it looks like there's just one.
Mhm.
So normally it used to be close at 5 on that Wednesday because we were only open till 5 on Friday and Saturday. Now we're open till 6. So actually for FY22, I think New Year's Eve, the 31st, falls on a Saturday, which means the library will technically be open until 6 p.m. on New Year's Eve,
Mhm.
which normally we would. So I didn't even list it actually on this calendar. I'm just like, okay, we'll be open. If people don't want to work it, they'll take leave time. You can still have plenty of partying now and work till 6 o'clock. Retailers do it all the time. So I didn't add in that one, but
So that's New Year's Eve. You would say 6 o'clock. Is that?
that would be the standard closing time anyway, because it's a New Year's Eve next year, not this year, is a Saturday. So,
You-
and
you
then New Year's
scroll up to
Day
the-
is Sunday, so the town observes it on Monday, the 2nd. This is 2023 down here at the bottom.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yep.
so I think this calendar is just fine as is and will work.
Mhm.
Great. Thank you for your endorsement. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aaron, aye. Karen,
Aye.
Daniela,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
and Marty.
Aye.
Great. I declare the motion carried. No policies to review tonight, Daniela? Okay, great. So moving on to the director's report.
The director is tired.
Yeah,
The director is working a lot of hours. And doesn't even have the bandwidth to find her stats. Hang on. That one. There we go. So again, we did hand clicks for visitors for October. We had curbside, which meant people could come in the lobby and pick up their items, their holds, and check out that first week of October. And then we got our certificate of occupancy and opened fully to the public on the 13th, Wednesday the 13th. And we had almost 2,700 visitors in October. So that's not bad. First 3 weeks of being open. Continued to provide home delivery service, outreach to Crescent Manor. The yearly totals, you can see print and digital circulation are neck and neck. The blue is physical materials and the orange is digital. I'm really wrestling with what is a reference question and what is not a reference question. Updating a library account, not a reference question. Asking where the cookbooks are, not a reference question. But when we say, are you looking for a particular cookbook? And they say, yeah, you know, the one that's about this big and it's got a pumpkin on the cover full of pumpkin bits. Can you find me that cookbook? And we look it up and find it. That is a reference question. So we answered 130 reference questions. I did not get the number of holds in time to put on this report. I think it was 341 staff initiated holds placed through the Evergreen system. We bought some new books. We added 501 items. And we issued not 136, 162 new and replacement library cards in that first 3 weeks of being open, which is a lot. Yeah, we don't even hit that number usually for September, which is National Library Card Sign Up Month. And I expect it to continue. There's a lot of people who want to come in and see our beautiful new building and get a card. We've issued, I think, 2 out-of-state cards. And there isn't really a policy or precedent around that. I didn't see anything on our CW Mars network website and need to do a little bit more research. I can tell you that when I worked in Haverhill, which was in close proximity to New Hampshire, an out-of-state resident had to pay an annual fee to belong to the other state's library system. So that might be something that policy committee might want to develop something around if we think that Rhode Island or Canadian residents who are living in town and want to get a card. Or visiting town and want to get a card might need to pay for that service. All of our social media stats were up except for YouTube and Pinterest, which stayed stable. The children's gym staff did a overview of early literacy for each of the story time groups, and then they showed a really nice PowerPoint presentation to the participants in story time and then put it online. So now it's always there as something for people to refer to. Is kind of nice and unique. The staff are starting to feel more comfortable with technology, I think, and a little bit bolder about creating these kinds of things, digital materials that people can use anytime, whether they come in the library or not. So that's been really nice. We only did a handful of programs, and I don't know if any of the October ones would count, say for MBLC statistics, because they might have been a virtual book group, virtual young scientists program, pick up a kit and take it home. We did start with in-person programming in November, including on a half day. We had kids come in and paint a kitty and a pumpkin. Some book groups and story times have resumed. We had Mr. Kim. I think Mr. Kim was outside in October. Karen helped me staff the building on Halloween, and we had almost 80 people come in. about 15 just to use the bathroom. That was okay. They didn't block up the bathroom, so it was okay. We gave out allergen-free treats to a number of residents of all ages. Museum passes, now that we're open, people can get museum passes, and a lot of the attractions have opened up, and it's still complicated for some of those vendors, those Massachusetts attractions, where you have to call and see if it's available, and then call the library and get the pass and the code, and then call the museum back and give them the library number to get the discount to reserve your spot, and then you have to go pick up the library pass. It's cumbersome, and yet we managed to give out 26 museum advanced reservation passes in October. And then we had 5 volunteers return, and they gave us each about 2 hours a week, helping with shelving and office type related tasks. And I did send out a rather long narrative report. I think I covered a lot of it though under some of those other updates that I had to do. So happy to answer questions from that report that I emailed.
Please, Marty.
I was interested in the new library cards. And it's a personal peeve of mine, but I hate carrying any kinds of cards. And I like the idea of digital cards. I don't know how well developed they are, but is it somewhere in the future that we might have digital library cards on our cell phones? And
you can't see this, I'm sure. The future is here. I have an app called Keyring, where I can put my library barcode and I can scan this at self-check. So I don't need to carry my card if I have my phone, it works. But also, if you can memorize the 14 digits, or even the last 9, you can type it in to the self-check kiosk and not have to carry it. We always want people to have their card or their phone or something, or to memorize their card and put it in. But also, we're still, like, if a kid comes in and they don't have the card, we look them up, we verify 2 pieces of information, and we'll let them check out.
could you just do me a favor in your spare time, of which you have none? If
Yeah,
you think of
Keyring.
it sometime between now and the
Yeah.
next meeting, just email me the link that you just described that you used to do
There's
that.
a couple. Keyring. You can also take a picture of it and have it on your phone and show it. And that would also be acceptable. Staff might have to type that in if it won't read it, but generally we have barcode readers that read it.
Ideally, I'd like not to take up staff time at all, and just other than to say, hello, how are you? Thanks, good.
Yeah, Marty, if you also have a Samsung phone, all the cards scan in super easy. I got Koopmans in there. I got Grafton Public Library, Stop and Shop, all of them.
I could probably take a picture of it. So I have an iPhone. There's a wallet feature. You could probably also put it in your wallet, front and back, and scan the barcode from your wallet too.
All right, this obviously is a user ignorance problem. I'll deal with it. Thank you.
There are a lot of afternoons. Come in the afternoon.
All right.
After the 29th. I'll be back to 29th.
Okay, it's all right. I'm sorry. Sorry for taking up the time.
Nope. Okay. Any other questions on the director's report for Beth? Doug.
It's not really a question. It's just a comment, and I've talked to Beth about this separately. But I understand that staffing is an issue. I was in the library and I was so excited to see, I don't know, 6 or 7 teens in the teen room. But unfortunately it was dinner time, and I think Beth was handling like 3 rooms and a lot of other things. So she ended up having to close that room, I think just for an hour or so, but still, I think this group should support Beth where we can, both to optimize the schedule, to minimize the chances that happens. And also to, I don't know, bring in temps or just bring in additional positions so that, we don't get in a position where we have to close rooms, certainly during the peak times too. Beth did a nice job. She was obviously quite frantic because she was running between multiple rooms without trying to close any rooms off, but yeah.
I felt so really gratified because Doug just went, just close the room. And we really do have this, we have a minimum staffing policy, And yet we feel very strongly that we want to make the spaces available to patrons. And I said, I feel like I can now because my board member said, just close it. So we did. And then the result was kids who had left their bags and then gone somewhere else in the building had to come get their stuff for the hour because they were going to be leaving before the room was reopened. So I still ended up having to bounce back and forth between the two rooms and letting this person who wanted a book and that person who needed their bag and this person who needed the skateboard.
And I, in that case, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it feels like unless we actually do start closing spaces, there isn't going to be impact. Like I'm not going to get what I need to manage the public service desks if we continue to bend over backwards and stay open with staff not getting dinner, staff being frantic, or the teen space being unsupervised because there's not, somebody had to go to dinner and now there's nobody to watch the kids who are sometimes acting up.
Yeah, that was definitely the case that night. Is it's
crazy.
not like it was not an opportunity to just let them stay in there for the next hour because there was just so much stuff going on with them.
Great. Thank you, Doug. That's a great point. Karen, please.
I guess I want to, support what Doug said and what Doug did, because I think if you try to gloss over issues by trying to make it work and it makes it unsafe or it makes it so that staff does not eat, then it just hides the problem. Whereas I think if there's an issue, it needs to be out in the open, not hidden. And that's how I think we're going to be better off, trying to get the additional budget money you need in order to do that. And I'll just add, based on one of the conversations that we had with a patron on Halloween. So the magical unicorn was not available.
The magical unicorn is really good for, Allison's not coming until Wednesday, till 1 o'clock on Wednesday. I technically should go sit down there, but the truth is there's school and no teenagers are going to come and hang out in the teen room. Adults have been respecting the no unaccompanied adult signage and staying away. There might be a family to walk through and check it out and leave. Mm-hmm. So that's a time when we put up a sign that says the room is being staffed by a magical unicorn. There's a blow up unicorn to sit there and it says go to a different desk. The unicorn is shy. Go to a different service desk to be helped. And like I said, that works from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., but it doesn't work from 3 to 5 p.m. You really need a body in that space. The unicorn can only do so much, but it's, makes people smile. And
yes, it does. And on Halloween, this little girl came in and asked where the magical unicorn was. And her father looked quite confused, actually.
Josie loves it. And whenever she comes in, she takes it and she puts it in a different spot in the building for me to go and find. But to speak to staffing, so I mentioned that we had this, there's this chemical fume today, and I've just gotten a note from staff that the remaining employees have headaches, dizziness, and eye issues and had to go home. So the building has been closed as of 8 o'clock tonight because I don't have healthy staff to stay and keep the building open, unfortunately. And they had to figure out how to override the automatic locking for the doors because the door is programmed to be open and unlocked until 9 p.m. and then it automatically locks in. My brilliant staff figured out how to do that and override the system. But now we're closed. And say 15.
Thank you, Beth, for letting us know. And that's fine. Absolutely. If they need to close the building.
And Evan's aware.
It's an issue, right? But as of tomorrow morning, granted, whatever chemical smell or fumes are going to be, bothering the patrons, also going to bother the staff. Are we going to be able to open in the morning?
They will let me know in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have the night to air out, except to get the roof, the HVAC for that floor is not running to bring in fresh air. So we can open doors and windows in some of the building to get some fresh air in. And I kept 2 or 3 fans just in case. So they can prop open doors and have fans running as soon as staff are on site tomorrow. I can send custodial and a directive to try to do that for me. and then we'll see.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think we're getting to the end of the agenda. Any further discussion regarding the director's report? Okay. Well, the next meeting is Wednesday, December 15th at 7 p.m. At this point, unless I hear otherwise, we'll continue to meet via Zoom. Doug, did you have your hand up? Or you just trying to make cool vapor
No, I
trails
have
and
one
photo?
last thing to say, but I'll let you
Okay.
finish that conversation.
Yeah, so unless there's any need to meet in person, I think with the uptick in the pandemic, it's likely safe to continue to meet via Zoom. So if anybody would like to discuss that offline, I'm happy to do so. Okay, please, Doug, go ahead.
Just 30 seconds. I don't know if anyone else has participated in the trail clearing that's behind the library, but I did that the first weekend with Cassie Brown. It's actually a great trail. I never realized how big that property is. I mean, it sounds like it's small, but when you actually walk the little loop that Cassie mapped out, it's quite a nice little loop. So I know she's got, I think, another maybe weekend or two of work to do, but I think that's going to be a great resource for the library and for the town.
Great. Thank you for the update, Doug. I will certainly hear a motion to adjourn at 8:20 if anybody's willing to do so.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion made. Any second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aaron, aye. Karen,
Aye.
Daniela,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
and Marty.
Aye.
Great. I declare the motion carried.